Hi,
Hello, Toy.
how are you today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Today is September 17, 2014, and my name is Ratana Toy McDaniel, and I am interviewing Mariana Iurcovich,
That's right.
and she is from Argentina.
That's correct.
This interview is being recorded for the Boulder Library, and the interviewing being filmed by MROHP. And can we start?
Of course, yeah.
Okay. So, where you were born?
I was born in Argentina. It's right here. It's the southern country in South America. And I was born in the north center part of the country in a state called Tucumán.
Tucumán.
Yeah, it's where the independence took place back in 1810. So it's a historical place.
Okay.
But we moved when I was 3. We moved to the Patagonia, to the very south, because my father got a job there, and then we came back to Buenos Aires, and I lived most of my life in Buenos Aires
Okay.
while in Argentina.
And how long have you been living in USA and Boulder?
In Boulder, I moved here in 2003, so 11 years.
Okay.
And before, I lived in New York
Okay.
in 2 different times, in the late 80s when I was studying,
Okay.
and then in 2001 before I moved here.
Okay. And can you tell me a little bit more about Argentina?
Yes, it's a country that has a very rich native culture. You know, we call the indigenas, the native people. There were different groups all over the country, and unfortunately, none of the governments really took good care of them. And so that's the important part of the population. It's mostly in the countryside. And then we have immigrants from basically Spain, Italy, Eastern Europe. And like 10 years ago, there was a large Chinese immigration. We even have a Chinatown in Buenos Aires that it's very cool, good food, and you know. And then in the last years, due to the economical crisis, we have people coming from Paraguay, Bolivia, Peru, and mostly they work either in the construction or at houses helping with cleaning, that type of stuff.
Okay.
And many from Peru are more into the medical, you know, they are nurses, they take care of the elderly.
Okay.
So, it's kind of the country has changed a lot with different type of immigrants.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, can you tell me about climate, landscape?
Yeah.
About
Okay, we have the 4 seasons, which is really beautiful. So we have a winter in Buenos Aires. We don't have snow, but it gets really cold and it's very humid. Like winter, we have like 5 Celsius. That will be like the normal temperature. In summer, it gets really hot, maybe 30 Celsius in the city. And then spring is beautiful with all the flowers and trees bloom. And then the fall is my favorite. You have all the beautiful colors in the trees, and then we have snow in the south.
Okay.
And we have very high temperatures in the countryside, in the center of the country.
Okay.
And the landscape, it's a very large country, so we have a large coast on the Atlantic Ocean.
Okay.
We also have the Andes, the mountains. It's a continuation of the Rocky Mountains in North America, but in South America they're called the Andes. So we have a great mixture of landscape. We have very nice archaeological sites in the north part. Then in the south we have lakes. It depends where you are. The landscape is different. And then in Buenos Aires, my beautiful place, we have the delta. A delta. We have the El Río de la Plata, the river plate.
Okay.
It's the widest river It's really, it can turn like an ocean with waves, depends on the, on the weather. There is a wind called sudestada, and when you have a sudestada, then you have those waves like, it doesn't look like a river. And in the delta, you have islands with houses. So people, very few people live there. Most people go there for the weekends, so they have like a vacation house. And it's really nice. The nature is very wild. It's my favorite place. Yeah.
And where is the most beautiful place in Argentina?
Well, it depends. There, like the Patagonia, it's a very dramatic kind of landscape. It's you see the ocean is blue there, but the beaches are made out of little gray stones. You don't have green there. It's like, it's very, it's kind of dramatic, I would say. Then I really like Buenos Aires as a city because of the river. It has beautiful buildings, antique constructions, many Art Deco. I mean, it's really, really nice. Then Córdoba, it's another state. My mother was born there. We have nice hills. It's beautiful, many small rivers and falls. Then we have the Iguazu Falls, this part of the country, and that is amazing. It's hard to tell only one place. It's really a nice place to visit and see the different landscapes.
So, can you describe customs that represent your culture?
Yeah, well, there's something that most people drink that I don't. It's called mate. It's like a drink made out of herbs. It's very healthy, and my husband drinks mate, and and some friends, when they come here, they like that. I don't like it, but that's very typical. It has protein. So in the countryside, most people that work in the countryside, they will just drink that during the morning, and you share it, you pass it around. It comes with something called mate, and then like a special straw. And they drink that, that's very typical from, I would say, describes pretty much
Argentinian.
Yes.
I would like to have that sometime.
Yeah, and then I think that's something that it's very typical for us, is that we have a very, important social life. It's very common to go to your friends, invite people, but you don't schedule like ahead. You just call and say, would you like to come over for dinner? Or, it's not like with your friends, that's what you do. You don't, it's more, more flexible. It's,
When you think of them, just call them.
Yes, like it's more like a Latin, I think, tradition that we are, and especially I think in South America, it's more informal in that sense, Yeah.
And can you please tell me about job you held in Argentina?
Yes, I am a clinical psychologist, and I used to have my private practice, but also work at the University of Buenos Aires. I have been involved in HIV and AIDS for more than 20 years now, and I started when I was here in the late 80s in New York. I was doing my postgraduate courses in systemic family therapy, and I was doing I started, getting involved with HIV and AIDS because it was the beginning of the epidemic, and I was very curious about that. So I organized the AIDS program for the university, and then I was teaching at the university methodology of research and also public health and mental health. And because of the program at the university, I started getting involved with consultancy work. So I traveled the world working as a consultant, more in related to HIV and AIDS. Helping health departments, ministries of health, and also in the educational field to implement curricula for kids in kinder, elementary, middle and high school in other countries. So that's what I was doing there. And in 2000, UNICEF offered me a position with them in headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, I won the position and I moved to New York at that time.
And you're still working with UNICEF?
No, I decided, I met my current husband, Lucas, while I was there, and that mixed up with some personal family situations. I decided to move here.
Okay.
So I had some time back in Argentina, some time here, until I ended up moving here in 2003. Yeah, and I worked for a public health agency in Denver.
Okay.
Until very recently that I decided to go back to my private practice with clients. Okay. So I'm going back to my kind of origin.
Still in the same field, psychologist.
Yeah, but not with HIV and AIDS.
Right.
I want just to work with clients in general.
Okay.
Yeah, patients.
Are you coaching anyone?
Not at the moment. I'm hoping to start soon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. And when and why you decided to come to USA?
When I came in the 80s, I was very involved with contemporary dance. I was doing also the School of Dance back in Argentina.
Okay.
Same time as I was doing my career with psychology. And I came with the idea of just doing contemporary dance lessons, but at the same time I got involved doing my postgraduate courses in psychology. Okay. So that was the first time that I moved here in the 80s, late 80s.
Okay.
And then when I came here in 2002, it was to work for UNICEF when I won the position with them. It was a global position, and that was I wasn't looking to move here, honestly. I was very happy in Buenos Aires traveling, and but I feel that when something like that happens, you have to, when I was in the 80s studying, I was always thinking, I wish I could live in New York, but working here, not studying, just have in a different situation. And suddenly, I had that opportunity out of the blue because, out of the blue, I've been working for the UN in many countries, so I guess that, but I wasn't looking actively to move here. Okay. It just, it happened.
It just happened to be in Boulder or Denver?
It was, no, at that time it was in New York. Okay. Then I moved to Boulder because I met Lucas. He was here, he was working at the university, and he's a mathematician, and I thought it was going to be easier for me to find something with public health than for him to find a place to do research in applied math, either in New York or somewhere else. That's why I moved here. Okay. Yeah.
That's good. And so you said you moved here like 2003?
Yes, to Boulder, yes, 2003. Yeah, 11 years ago.
And it's because of job position?
No, it was because of my husband.
Your husband?
Yeah. Okay. Then I got the job, but I moved here because of Lucas. Yeah. Okay. He was here for a long time already. He's been here for a long time.
Was he born here? Or
no, he's from Argentina.
Oh, okay.
But we met in New York. Okay. Yeah. He moved here almost 20 years ago. Okay. Yeah.
And what were your first impressions about Boulder?
I liked the mountains, but I thought this is a very small town. I'm used to the big cities. But that was the first, and then as I continue coming and, for short trips, I really liked the peace here, that it's, it's clean, there's no noise, people are friendly, and then with the kids, I think it's the best place to raise kids. It's very safe, it's healthy. It doesn't have the level of consuming that in other parts of the country. Okay. And
that's good. And how do you feel about Boulder now?
I really like it. I don't miss the big city anymore. When I need that, we travel to Argentina once a year, so I get that when I go there. And before, I used to travel a lot in the country with my job, so I would be in big cities, and that would be my, portion of big city. But now I really like it here. I couldn't complain of anything, honestly. Everything it's fine. The school it's very good. I mean, it's a safe place. It's clean. The people, everything is really special, I think.
And what do you like to do in Boulder?
I like to hike. We try to go to the mountains at least one day during the weekend. Get together with friends when we have time for that. I really love to be home also. It's like I love my place. It's just, but the nature, anything that is related to the nature, I think that it gives me a lot of energy.
And do you still have family in Argentina?
Yes. My father, my sister, and the extended family, cousins, uncles.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can you tell me a little bit about your friends you met here?
Yeah, well, very good friends here helping you. Something interesting is that most of my friends, except couple, they're not Americans.
Okay.
And the ones that are Americans, they live abroad.
Okay.
I think that there is something about, it's not being an immigrant, I would say, but some sort of connection with people that are here for whatever the reason is, either because they are refugees, either because they have to leave their countries due to political reasons, whether it's they got a good job here or they came here to study. There is something, I think, that speaks about the strength of people, that they can manage to move away from what could be a comfort zone, even if the country it's not in a good situation. Still, it's where you were born, it's your culture, it's your family, it's your
people with two cultures, maybe.
Well, I think that we all became I would say, bicultural, because you need to adjust to this society.
Right.
You need to learn the language, you need to understand the codes, you need to be integrated, unless you want to be here and being an outsider. And I don't think that's not a healthy way to be in another country. I think that you have to compromise. You have to be willing to accept what the country has to offer. You have to give as well, and you have to be in an open position to be part of this. I mean, otherwise, it's like you're just taking and you're not giving. And I think that a healthy relationship for any person that moves to another country is to do that in kind of personal work, to be accepted, and you're accepted as long as you are part of that culture and you can get from that culture what you think it's important. And I can give you examples. In my country, people don't care about throwing garbage in the streets, which is awful. And I was not raised like that in my family, but if you walk there, you would see that even that there are garbage bins in the streets, people would just eat something and
That happens.
And you can see people here, and I notice that they do the same, and I know they are foreigners, and I'm thinking, why can't they get the good things from this country? Why can't they, learn that there is another way to see that the public spaces belong to everybody. You go to a park here with the kids and it's clean and it's safe. In other places it's not like that. You have to be watching if there's some glass in the middle of the sandbox. I mean, those type of things. So we shouldn't give for granted any of the things that we have, especially in Boulder. That it's not a large city. It's a very healthy environment
and safe.
Yes, and safe. Yeah.
Okay. And so, have you gone away from Boulder after you moved here?
Um, I travel a lot, but
Right.
I didn't move
Away.
Yeah, I didn't move to any other place. We spent, recently 2 months in Argentina due
Okay.
to some family issues with my husband's
Mhm.
parents. But no, we didn't move away.
Okay.
We traveled, but this is
Okay.
home. Yeah.
Did you, what do you miss the most about Boulder when you're traveling?
My place, my house, my home, but also, that it's a clean place, there's not noise, it's safe. Every time I am, for example, in Buenos Aires, that I really like, I'm thinking, in Boulder there's not smoke, in Boulder everything is clean, those type of things I really miss, and of course the friends we have here. And our cat Frou because we cannot bring her with us.
Can you tell me a little bit about your family?
Yes, Lucas and I have 2 kids. Sarah Maya, she's 10. Danny Blas is 9. We adopted them 6 years ago.
Okay.
So also we were able to raise a family in Boulder. So Boulder is a very special place for us because we were able to do all of that here. And Lucas, my husband.
And what do you miss the most about Argentina?
I miss my friends, my family, the good food, the good coffee, and certain places that I really like,
Okay.
special parts of the city that I really like to walk every time I go there.
Can you tell me a little bit more about food and coffee?
Okay, all the food is organic, just to
Okay.
start. I mean,
Right.
it's a very agricultural country, so all the cows, I mean, if you were to eat meat, the cows just eat the grass. It's, they
Right.
are outdoors all the time. So when you eat meat, and I'm not a meat eater, by definition, I like some things only, but you know what you're eating, because
Right.
you know how those animals were, fed, for example.
Right.
All the veggies and the fruits, they really taste different. I mean, here they look very nice,
Right.
but they don't taste
Like
as
that.
good. Yeah, I mean, it's something that is, I don't know why, so that's something that I miss. Then you have, like, we call them confiterias, like coffee shops everywhere, and wherever, it doesn't matter where you go. First, the coffee, it's espresso.
Okay.
It's not all these inventions that they have here with Starbucks. No, it's just, it's coffee, either with milk or not milk, or a little bit of, and in real cups.
Okay.
There's no plastic. I mean, it just, it's more ecological. I mean, you use real dishes. You don't use plastic stuff that it's a waste.
Right.
And people don't go eating in the streets. They go and they
Sit down.
sit down, and or for example, we have an expression that it's called sobremesa. That means that sometimes when you are with friends in a restaurant, let's say, after you are done with your food, with your dinner or lunch, you have a tea or a coffee, and you can stay like an hour or so talking. Here you go to a restaurant and they bring the bill when you're still eating, which is so rude. I mean, you are eating, and or they would come and say, would you like dessert, and they just gave you the food, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm still working on this
Right.
food, I will let you know. And then
Right.
you are eating dessert and they bring the check and you say, I might have some coffee, or he might have some tea. I will let you know when I need the check. For me, it's rude. It's like, please leave the table. I have other customers. In Argentina,
Waiting.
the waiters, they are professionals. They don't need to take notes of, even in a large table, and they won't bring the check unless you request that, because it's
Right.
very rude to put the check while people are still eating or talking. So I miss, if I go to a place here, there's no sobremesa, unless you're with friends, of course, but in a restaurant, that concept doesn't exist. People go to eat, we go to have a nice time together, to chat, and we also eat.
Right.
But the main reason is not eat, it's
Just conversation.
Yes.
And connection.
absolutely, yeah. Yes.
And what is typical breakfast or dinner?
Breakfast, for adults, is coffee with milk, toast with, marmalade or butter. Then dinner is the most important meal for us. Lunch, kids are at school or people are at work, but dinner is usually like a salad or soup, and then it's meat with veggies, and then it's dessert. It's, fruit. And in my house, it was very special, but there would be like homemade cakes in the afternoon. We call merienda, like the snack in the afternoon. So you will have either coffee with milk, or the kids will have chocolate milk with piece of cake, or those type of things.
Yeah. What about lunch?
Lunch, it's lighter, but it's usually salad, maybe it depends on the house. It can be some pasta and then fruit, but it's lighter than dinner.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
And how did you know about library, and what does it mean to you?
Well, wherever we travel, we go to the libraries, so it's something that we do quite often. Doesn't matter where we travel. The kids love the library, and we used to go a lot when they were younger. They read all the time, and I think it's not just to borrow books, but there are always interesting things to do there. Whether it's movies or conversations or talks, or and I think that they speak a lot about the city where the library is located. Like, we went to remote places, and they still will have a small library, and the kids would go. We would spend a couple of hours, reading books, those type of things. Now they like to go to bookstores and read books as well, But when they were younger, every weekend we would go to the library.
And do you speak English or Spanish or
English and Spanish, yeah.
at home?
With the kids, yeah, both languages.
Both languages.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do your family come visit here?
Yes, usually my father comes once a year. He used to come when I had to travel for work, so he would be here helping with the kids and Lucas. This year he hasn't come because we went there for 2 months. But yeah, usually he comes once a year, and then we go there once a year. Sometimes my husband goes a couple of times a year, just to solve some issues with his parents. He's a single son, so.
And do you what do you do when you travel for work? Do you bring your kids with you?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I
Yeah.
don't, because I work long hours. It's usually like, I leave, they pick me up like at around 7:30 at the hotel, and I get back around 7 p.m. So no. I used to go with Lucas when it was a nice place to go, so he could just visit the city, and then we will be together after I work, but no.
So it has to be one person being home, and
Yes,
Yeah.
we have someone that helps us, a nanny that helps us, especially when I travel. She, helps more than the usual, let's say.
right.
So for Lucas, it's less work, But still, certain things like, dinner and breakfast and, many things you don't delegate. You just do it yourself, so.
Okay. And do you cook Argentinian food a lot here?
I do certain things. There's something called empanada that I think my friends try those here. It's like a dough that you can fill with. It can be spinach, cheese, onions, mashed potatoes. People like with meat. Because I don't eat meat, I don't prepare them with meat. And there is actually a place here that they sell the dough from Argentina, which is very convenient.
That's good.
Yes, and then milanesas. It's a type of, I think it's called veal. I'm not sure. It's made out of chicken breast, and then I don't know how to explain how to make it, but it's yummy.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, there are certain things that I prepare that are very Argentinian. Yeah.
Is it easy to find ingredients?
Yes, in this, well, this place, I don't think I can say the name because it would be to do some propaganda, but I can let you know later because they have things from everywhere.
Okay.
And you can even go and ask for a certain product from certain country and they will bring it for you.
Okay.
So it's interesting. There's a mixture of things from different places, and they bring stuff if you need. Yeah, it's not as difficult. Yeah.
Okay. And do you feel that Boulder is home to you? And
Oh
why?
yes. Well, I think that home is where you build your home, and
Right.
build the home is not about the structure; it's what you put inside. And as you can see, my house is full of things that are either pieces of art from people we know or things I brought from different trips. I used to collect objects that a couple would give to each other during their weddings in different cultures. So you know, I have things that are very meaningful for me, and they have so you know. And I think for me, if I have my books and my music, doesn't matter what the place is, I feel that's home. And my pictures, you know, pictures are from my family. That's basically what I need to feel that I am home. Yeah.
That's good. And can you tell me a little bit more about your private practice?
Well, that's something that I'm willing to start now.
Okay.
I've been doing, well, I used to do that quite a lot back in Buenos Aires, and I really enjoyed helping people more one-on-one. And I want to do that here. And I'm also going to do a coaching training for a year. I know that coaching here is something very, you know, from my perspective, it's more, you know, psychology is more like for me a scientific discipline. This is more hands-on.
Okay.
But I think that I need to do something as well to kind of see, you know, what is the latest here that works. And I'm very curious about that, so I have decided to do that as well as a way to continue with my education. And yeah.
When you started, just let us know.
I will. I can start right away. And I want to also, I've been thinking that because I train health professionals in different countries, you know, there is something that I really enjoy, and it's working with different cultures. And it's something that, you know, it's something, it's like a plus that I can bring to the practice that I really think it's interesting.
Yeah. And a little bit about UNICEF you mentioned before.
Yeah.
And how did you like it?
I like it very much. I think it's a very serious agency to work for. It's really, and one of the things that they do that I really like, it's with the UN system, but basically with UNICEF. I was there as a global advisor for HIV and AIDS, and they, you know, once they hire you, because you went through a quite, you know, a strict, you know, interviews and stuff, they trust what you do. So you have a lot of freedom to implement programs and do stuff. So I was working in some countries directly, but also they have regional offices, you know, in Africa they have 3, in Asia they have 3, then they have in Latin America, Eastern Europe, and Oceania. So I would work with those regional offices to help them implement some policies and programs in place, basically for pregnant women, youth, and children in HIV and AIDS.
Helping a lot of people.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Is there anything else you would like to talk about today?
I think I talked a lot. No, but if you have any more questions, I will be happy to chat.
Thank you so much,
You're
Mariana.
welcome. Thanks for the interview.
Okay.